everybody, thanks for tuning in. So I have a 2014 Chevy Silverado, and I am suspecting that there's a coolant leak. Something just doesn't seem right. The temperature gauge is fluctuating just a little bit, where normally that holds steady. And then it does seem like the reservoir is kind of slowly, the level in there is slowly getting lower. So I picked up this AC Delco tracer die. It's part number 890-22219, and I'm sure there's a lot of other dies that would work for this, but since this one's AC Delco and it's meant for Dexcool, I thought I'd pick this one up. So we're just going to add this whole bottle into the overflow reservoir and go for a drive, and we'll see what happens. So I couldn't find any instructions on this, so I figure I'd just add the whole thing in. I do suspect a leak in one spot, so I added this in here, and there's one spot right down there. Can't see it right now because it's dark, but there's just a little spot on the radiator that's wet, and I just don't think I don't know of any reason that it should be. The strangest thing is that I haven't noticed any coolant on the ground. There's none underneath the truck if you look around, so possibly this is a pinhole leak. I've read a lot online about people who have had those leaks so small that you can't actually, you don't actually see the leak itself, and nothing ends up hitting the ground. A lot of it evaporates before that, so maybe that's what I have going on here. So I guess we'll see. Finally figured out that the radiator is actually leaking on my truck. I didn't show the removal and installation because there are already a couple of good videos out there that I'd recommend to follow if you do have to do this. One of them is by a channel called TRQ, which seems to be affiliated with A1 Auto somehow. That's for replacing a radiator on a 2007 to 2014 Silverado. And the second one is Danny Johnson's Garage. He has a lot of great videos, but this one is specifically for radiator replacement on Yukon, Tahoe, Silverado, Sierra, Suburban, Escalade, 6.2 and 5.3 liter. The one he does is on a Yukon, but it's almost exactly the same. The one thing you want to keep in mind with that is he connects some of the lines before he gets the fans in, and he does mention it later on that probably wasn't the best idea, and I would agree that you'll probably want to go ahead and wait, get the fans in, and then make those connections. So I want to show you a couple things here as this relates to this. I ended up going with the Denso radiator. They make factory parts for Toyota and just have a really good reputation overall, so that's why I went with that. I don't see the model number on here, but the way I found that out, because there's a couple of them that are similar, I called the GM dealer to get the actual factory replacement part and then cross-reference that on Rock Auto. The AC Delco one was like almost $400, and this Denso one was like $180. So it was just kind of a no-brainer for me. I don't know. Like I said, they have a good reputation, and sure seems like we're going to be fine. But again, what first kind of tipped me off to the fact that it was some sort of a coolant leak is that my temperature gauge was fluctuating. It was going between like 200 to 210, and I think the regular spot that it's supposed to stay at is right dead in the center on 210. Again, that's a 2014 Silverado with the 5.3 motor in it. After I put the leak indicator in there, it took me a long time, but I was able to finally see just a little bit, and I'll try to show you that here. Boy, it really doesn't look like it's coming out very well on camera, but you can see right up in this corner there, that helps a little bit. You can see some of the brighter colored stuff that's showing up there, and that is the leak indicator. The other huge indicator to me after I got it apart was that I cleaned some of this off here, but noticed that there was just a ton of stuff stuck on here. So that was kind of the second indicator that this was the issue. Overall, I took my time. Probably took me a total of like 4 hours of time. If you watch Danny Johnson's garage video, he fills up some of the coolant passageways. One of them is here on the, I'll show you this. This is just how it sits in the car. One of the places he fills up is here in the top right of the radiator if you're standing in front of the vehicle. And then he also fills up the reservoir where the thermostat goes. And as part of this, like I said, my truck has about 70,000 miles on it, so I went ahead and got a new thermostat as well. For that one, I think the AC Delco one was 110, and there was a brand called Four Seasons. I googled around and it sounded like they have a pretty good reputation, so I went ahead with that one because it was only like 40 bucks. A couple other things with this, as far as the removal and installation. What's the thing in the front? Condenser, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, that kind of clips, it kind of sits into these clips, both at the top and the bottom of the radiator. And what you want to do to make sure you can get those out well enough is make sure the radiator is completely sitting in its spots as far as the bottom rubber pieces go. As long as that's in their locations on both sides, then you can lift that condenser up high enough and to be able to tip the radiator forward, and then you should be able to pull it out. Another thing on this top side, I think it's one of the transmission cooler lines, comes around here and like around the side of the radiator. That one I had to actually bend up, and it worried me a little bit. It seemed like it was going to break or something, but I was just careful and I never did. Never had a problem with it. So everything went well there. The new one, I didn't have to transfer anything from the old one over to this one. It came with all the little metal clips that go on those lines. And the one thing, those little black things that kind of protect those clips, I wasn't able to get those to snap on to a couple of the new ones. I'm not sure if the clips were like a little bit of a different size or something, but I think those are really just like an extra layer of protection. I'm not really worried about it, to be honest. The clamps that go on the big hoses are really tough. There's a special tool for that, I understand, which would be a huge help. I almost went and bought it, but I was going to give it one last try to get it off, and thankfully it worked at that point. It was, as long as you squeeze those tight enough, they lock into place, and then once you go to put them back on, you just have to use a flathead screwdriver just to kind of pop them, and you want to make sure that you have them in place before you do that, because then they clamp down again, and it's a lot easier if you don't have to move them again. So after I did that, started, filled the reservoir and filled those other two spots that I mentioned. I was able to start the truck, and it almost seemed like all the air was out of it. And then the last thing I did was I did get a new radiator cap, because that's recommended, and it was only like $10 for the actual AC Delco factory one. But all in all, everything went well. I'll try to remember to link those videos below. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share if you can. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.